اوكي، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. طيب، الليلة علينا centripetal force. انا ما حاخش centripetal force فجأة كده زوط واقول لكم يلا نشرح centripetal force لحد ما اشرح كم بوينت هنا اول. اوكي. First of all, عشان انا افهم centripetal force I need to have knowledge about Newton's first and second laws of motion. حلو. طيب، انا لما اقول كلمة Newton's laws ما تتكهربوا وتعلقوا وتخافوا، لا. انا لما اقول Newton's laws انا لما المستر يقول لي امشي احفظ نيوتنز لوز، ما حاحفظها عشان لو سالتني في الاورال اقول لها ايوه ونيوتنز لوز كذا وكذا، لا. انا عشان افهمها، لانه الاسئله حتجيني كيف؟ الاسئله ما حتقول لي يلا نيم نيوتنز لوز، لا، حيجيب لي سؤال متعلق باللوز حقت نيوتن عشان يشوف انت بتعرفي تطبقين. يعني نيوتن قال لك في الفيرست لو انه a body in motion remains in motion or a body at rest remains at rest unless acted upon by force. طيب ده انا اشرحها كيف دي. شوفوا، انا لو قاعده في الكرسي ده، طيب، لو ما if there's no force acting on me، طيب I'm not gonna move from the chair, I'm not gonna start flying، ما حامشي قدام، ما حرجع ورا، ما حخش في الأرض because no force is acting on me. So I am a body at rest remaining at rest because no force is acting on me. This is Newton's first law. طيب، Newton's first law also says that a body at motion remains هنا in motion. طيب, what does that mean? If a car is trapped, I keep saying, I can say car, I can say object, I can say anything. I'm using examples I think are easier to understand, but it happens for anything عادي يعني. طيب, if a car is traveling at constant speed, طيب, unless something happens to the forces acting on this car, nothing is gonna happen to this car. What do I mean by that? I mean that the net forces or the resultant force acting on the car is gonna be zero. It's gonna keep moving in whatever speed it was moving in, constant speed. طيب, that's Newton's first law. طيب, I need you to understand the word resultant force. لما أنا أقول resultant force, I mean a force that's the result of two forces. طيب, okay, how do I explain that one? When I say it's the result of two forces, I mean that let's say I have, you know, I'm not going to explain all of forces يعني ما تخافوا, the video is not going to be that long. طيب, if I have, let's say you and your sibling are arguing over something. طيب, ماسكين هنا Nintendo Switch. طيب, Nintendo Switch, I don't know how to draw it, لا إله إلا الله. And you're both arguing over it. طيب, كل واحد دايره. طيب, this is my Nintendo Switch. Hello, this is my object. والناس ديل, let's name this one force 1 and this person is force 2. طيب, you're gonna be this person. Hello, and this is me. Okay, and I'm pulling at this object, I want it, and you're pulling at this object and you want it. If we're pulling with the same force, and let's say my pulling force is 5 Newton. If yours is also 5 Newton, nothing's gonna happen. No one's gonna, this thing is just gonna rip. طيب, if it's a paper or if something just حاجة خفيفة حتشرب. طيب, but if we're pulling at the same force, there's gonna be no net force. طيب, so nothing's gonna happen to this object. طيب, it is at rest, it's gonna remain at rest. حلو, that's Newton's first law. طيب, if I had, let's say, if I pulled with more force than you did. طيب, if I pulled with, let's say, 7 Newton, I'm gonna get the object and you're not gonna get it. طيب, because there's gonna be a net force. طيب, whenever I'm calculating net force, how do I get my net force? If the forces are acting in opposite direction, I'm gonna minus. طيب, if opposite direction, then we're gonna minus. طيب, if we're acting in the same direction, then we're gonna add the forces. طيب, same direction, we're gonna add the forces. طيب, why did I start talking about forces and all of the basics about force and whatever? I need you to know this for the thing, the centripetal force. I need you to know that if we have a car that's going like this, طيب, and there's resistance on this car that's acting in the opposite direction, طيب, like this. Since the resistance or this force is less, let's يعني I'm gonna represent the forces by the arrows. Okay, the bigger my arrow, the bigger the force. طيب, if the force that's acting on the opposite direction of my, not like the initial force, then this thing, it's gonna slow down. It's gonna slow down a little bit, but it's gonna keep moving in the same direction. يعني ما حترجع ورا حتشيله وتتقلوا بالجهة الثانية، لا. It's gonna keep going forwards لكن بفورس أقل، بسبيد أقل معلش. Okay. طيب, if I had this is my force ثاني. طيب, and if my thing, my resistance or whatever force I have is equal to the thing, it's gonna keep moving at constant speed. Like it's not gonna do anything. It's gonna constant speed عادي كأنه ما حصل شيء. طيب زي الكلام في الفيرست لو. طيب and if it was لا ما حقول لكم لا خلاص الأخير ده ما حقول لك يعني الفورس أكبر منه والعربية رجعت ورا. I just need to know this. طيب we got this one across. الثانية when I say that a force equals mass into acceleration, what do I need from that? أنا ما حستخدم الفورمولا حقت force equal mass into acceleration كلها. I know that F equals ma صح؟ That means at constant mass, when the mass is constant, the force is directly proportional to the acceleration. لما يكون عندي three quantities هنا 1 2 3 and I say oh when one of these quantities is constant this equal to that or this is inversely proportional to that. أنا بسوي كده ليه؟ I'm trying to make one of the quantities constant عشان أطلع a relationship between the other two. طيب so مثلا if I said in constant acceleration A equals F over m. That means in constant acceleration, the force is directly proportional in mass. طيب whenever the values are like the relationship between them is division زي الهنا والهنا, they're directly proportional. طيب in constant force hello mass is inversely proportional to acceleration هنا multiplication. I just need you to know this. طيب we're not going to be using all of these, we're going to be using this one أول وحدة دي بس. Okay, لأن احنا دارين relationship between the force and acceleration. When I say the word centripetal force, طيب, the centripetal force is any force that keeps an object moving around a circular track, طيب, in a circular motion. طيب, what is generating this force? If I tell you right now, طيب, that, wait up, I need to draw a circle. Hello, طيب. This is my circle right here, طيب. If I have a car that's moving in this circle, what's keeping my car moving in this circle? Like what's keeping it in the circle and not going outside? يعني ليه العربية بتلف كده ولا ما بتكمل قدام؟ طيب if my car is moving in constant speed, طيب أنا اتخيلي like imagine with me. طيب اتخيلي إنه أنت أقفل عيونك. Okay, close your eyes. You're driving a car, hello, and I want to keep moving in circular motion. What do? And I'm moving the wheel, صح? I'm turning the wheel a little bit, صح? So I'm changing direction بالراحة. I'm not changing direction completely عشان ألف يعني هذه I'm making a turn so I can go back home. لا, I'm changing direction a little bit so I can adjust to the circular shape to the track. طيب to the circular shape of the track so I can keep moving in it عشان ما أطلع منه. So I'm moving direction a little bit, صح? This change in direction طيب يلا افتح عيونك عادي يعني okay open your eyes okay a change in direction is going to affect the velocity of the car. How is it going to affect the velocity? We know that velocity is a vector quantity. طيب vector quantity معناتها حاجة عندها magnitude direction عندها value طيب عندها size وعندها direction. So when I change the direction of the car طيب it's going to change the velocity. Okay, and this changing velocity is going to result in acceleration. طيب how is it going to result in acceleration? We know that acceleration equals change in velocity over time, صح? And you said we're changing distance. So we're causing a change in velocity. And a change in velocity will give me acceleration. طيب what does acceleration have to do with this? يلا نرجع تاني. I told you we're going to be using one of these, صح? So in constant mass, why did I say in constant mass? عشان أنا أتخلص من كلمة mass أصلا عشان أطلع relationship between the force هنا والاكسلريشن. انا عرفت كونسبت ماس كيف. هل العربيه لما تخش السيركل تراك بتسمع ولا بتنحف؟ لا سيم ماس صح. خلاص الماس حقنا I'm gonna neglect الحاجه اللي حطنشها كله حلو ولا كانه قاعد. طيب انا I have acceleration صح. I have a changing acceleration. This acceleration is going to result in a force. طيب أنا I'm going to tell you something about the centripetal force. حلو. لما أنا قلت لكم أنا بسوق في العربية حقتي صح وكل شوية بلف شوية so I can accommodate the shape of this track عشان أنا أقعد في التراك ده لأنه لو مشيت قدام سيدة كده حاطلع من التراك الدورانية لازم ألف كل شوية عشان أكون قاعدة فيه صح. أنا لما ألف كل شوية ده بعمل friction في التاير بتحت there's friction in my car's tires. طيب like لو قلنا ده السنتر سي هنا حقة السيركل. طيب if I say my car is right here حلو. This is my car. تمام. There's friction that's acting on these tires. طب الفريكشن دي acting كيف؟ انتوا حافظين، ممكن الواحد يحفظ انه friction opposite of the direction of the motion. يعني العربية قدام الفريكشن بورا. واو انا حفظت خلاص. لا، الفريكشن اللي عندنا هنا it's sideways. الفريكشن حقتي دي sideways المرة. طيب sideways عارفين انها يمين شمال لان ما حافظ يعني. طيب السايدوي فريكشن دي حتكون كيف؟ this sideways friction. طيب شو قلب مشاوين. okay. This sideways friction is going to be acting towards the center. حلو. Like this kind of. طيب. Okay. I know that my car is going in this direction. Like in this position, في البوزيشن اللي قاعدة فيها هنا دي. My car is going like this. طيب. So what do I notice about these two forces? I have a force that's due to the friction. Okay. A sideways friction. طيب. And that force is acting inwards داخل لجوا and towards the center. طيب. And I have another force which is caused by the engine of the car itself, and it's ماشي قدام كده صح؟ There's a 90-degree angle right here. That's why عشان كده يعني لما تقري النوتس هيقول لك the centripetal force acts perpendicular to the motion of the object. طيب I need you to know that centripetal force is not a force on its own. يعني في حاجة اسمها أسيل جات ماشية هنا ولما دخلت السيركل يعني أنا ماشية دينج 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 دخلت السيركل قاعد تالف. لا دي كيف دي كيف دي. لا it's the result of a force. طيب السنتريبيتال فورس ده هو عن نفسه resultant force. يعني هو result من forces تانية. حلو. طيب الفورسز التانية حقتنا حتكون واحدة فيهم الستاتيك فريكشن أو السايد ويف فريكشن حقت العربية دي. هو الفورس الطالع من هنا. كيف يعني الفورس طالع من هنا؟ إحنا قلنا force directly proportional to acceleration. طيب وأنا عندي acceleration. ليه عندي acceleration؟ لأنه there is change in velocity. و change in velocity ليه؟ لأنه I'm changing direction. أنا changing direction ليه؟ دي ما حيسألوك عنها، لكن لأنه أنا قاعد ألف في السيركل تراك فأكيد يعني I'm changing direction. حلو. طيب بما إنه force هنا اسمه شلون force directly proportional to acceleration حيكون عندنا هنا في force. احنا قلنا في acceleration ففي force برضه. حلو. طيب الفورسز اللي هنا for my car if I told you to describe the motion of the car العربية حيكون حاصل لها شنو؟ First of all we said that it acts perpendicular first of all I need you to I'm just gonna write these things like things that we should know about centripetal force. طيب centripetal force. طيب the centripetal force عن نفسه is a force that keeps an object moving in a circular track or circular motion in circular. الخط زفت لكن مهم يعني to get the point across بس. طيب وغير كده السيرتيبيتال فورس ده نفسه resultant force. طيب it is a resultant force. طيب حلو. وتاني في شنو؟ I'm going to describe the motion of my car. يعني لو قال لك السؤال the car is moving in a circular track. حلو. describe the motion of the car. العربية هنا دي we're going to describe its motion. حلو. يلا بسم الله. First of all I know that there is changing velocity. هل أنا حقول له changing velocity؟ لا. إلا لو سألك في السؤال مثلا why is there مثلا let's say that I said so far there is constant speed. طيب and there is constantly changing acceleration. I already said it a million times why there is constantly changing acceleration. I said that there's acceleration, but I didn't mention how it was constantly changing. Okay, it was constantly changing because the velocity is constantly changing. Hello? So we have constantly changing acceleration because we're constantly changing the direction of the car. Hello? طيب, if the question asks you to describe or explain يعني why we have constantly changing acceleration, then you'll say it's because we have a constantly changing velocity. Changing velocity. طيب. Like when they say motion, they don't want you to talk about velocity. I mean, like it depends on the question. حلو. لكن you're gonna write this إنه في constant speed وإنه في constantly changing acceleration. لو سألك ليه لأنه في constantly changing velocity. طيب غير كده we said that the centripetal force is a force that keeps objects in circular motion صح؟ the motion of the object طيب القاعدة في التراك دي can be described as constant speed و constantly changing acceleration due to constantly changing velocity. طيب أنا I'm in this car. طيب أنا بسوق في عربية في الدوار وده أطلع من الدوار اللفة حقتي جات. طيب عشان أنا أعمل exit للتراك ده we're going to be using Newton's first law تاني. ما تنشفوا منه يعني Newton's first law is very very cutie very itsy bitsy. طيب I'm going to change the color لأنه أنا قرفتها. okay حلو. طيب to exit the track if I have a circle right here. طيب I don't know how to draw circles. والله غلطانة أنا ذات فهم شيء هنا هذا. الله حلو ما حلو كالزفتة. أخيرا لا إله إلا الله. طيب this is my circle صح؟ أنا I'm in the car and I want to make a turn. I want to leave I want to leave this track. طيب my car wants to leave this track. أنا حاعمل شنو؟ ممكن أعمل حاجتين. طيب صح إحنا قلنا إنه as long as there's no resultant force the car is gonna keep moving in constant speed or be at rest صح يعني ما حيحصل لها شيء. فلو أنا لازم أعمل حاجتين ممكن أنا أعمل increase للسبيد حق الكار so that it can outdo الفورس حق centripetal force. يعني there's a resultant force and the car moves in. We said دقيقة I'm just gonna draw the tangent تاني. طيب what do we say tangent? A tangent is any line that cuts at any point in a circle. طيب so I'm gonna draw it like right here. طيب my tangent that's cutting through the thing should be cutting through the car. يا أخي المهم خلي العربية ماشية قدام. طيب وعندي centripetal force لا دي كعبة لكن ما حتعمل it's not gonna be perpendicular. معلش I'm raising too much I know. طيب I said that for my car to exit the track. This is my car خلاص I'm gonna draw a box. I'm taped up. طيب I'm drawing a box and then there's the center هنا. طيب to exit the track okay my object can increase the speed. طيب so that there's a resultant force and that there's and the centripetal force is insufficient. يعني centripetal force ده حيكون not enough to keep my object around the track because there's a force greater than a centripetal force اللي هو increased speed. طيب which is just like هنا أنا قلت هنا إنه we're at constant speed صح. if I want to increase my speed طيب and outdo the centripetal force I'm gonna increase speed هنا so the centripetal force is insufficient يعني ما حيكون كفاية عشان أخلي العربية حقتي لافة في الدائرة. okay it's insufficient it's not enough to keep my car around the track because I increase the speed. طيب this is Newton's رجعنا Newton's first law ثاني. طيب هل أنا لازم دائما عشان أطلع من عشان أطلع من اسمه شنو هو عشان أطلع من التراك do I need to increase the speed every single time? It's not necessary but it's one of the ways to make the car exit the track. طيب how else can I make the car exit the track? I can do this. طيب I can if my object like it's إحنا قلنا أنا وأنا سايق العربية I'm gonna turn a little bit like so I can accommodate to the shape of the circle صح. so I'm changing my direction. yeah I'm gonna stop changing my direction. okay حكمل سيدة حمشي I'm gonna keep going like this. طيب okay why am I gonna do that? so that there's no change in direction. طيب because a change in direction ده is the thing that's providing the friction between the car's tire and the track. طيب so there is no acceleration. okay that helps me produce the centripetal force. so no centripetal force. حلو. so once the velocity is not tangent إحنا قلنا velocity حتكون tangent أو perpendicular to شنو هو ده centripetal force. طيب so kind of like this. طيب حلو. the centripetal force is like this. it's in a tangent it should be cutting the circle. okay طيب so when it's not in a tangent when it's not constantly هنا And what happens if I keep going in a straight line? طيب if I keep going in a straight line, I'm gonna erase it معلش, لكن it doesn't mean it's wrong. Okay, I'm not teaching you false information. I said أنا قلت عشان أطلع من الcircle I can also just keep going straight. صح؟ What happens when I keep going straight? If my car reached this point, طيب if I said that there's a force perpendicular to it, it would be كده, صح? And it's not, that force is not going to be, like if I said, okay, لا دقيقة. We said that centripetal force always acts perpendicular to the object. So كده هل هنا the force is perpendicular? لا, it's not perpendicular. Okay. When I say perpendicular, I need it to be 90 degrees. دي مستحيل تكون 90 degrees. دي انت اللي تكون سكران عشان تقول لك 90 degrees. دي معناها إنه there is no centripetal force acting on my object. فأنا لما أكمل قدام سيدة كده بدون ما أغير direction حاخرب التانجنت، حاخرب ال 90 degree ده. Okay. فلما أخربه there's the car it can هنا exit the path. This إنه أنا أقول إنه that the object can continue in a straight line so that there's no change in direction, because the change in direction provides the friction between the car's tires and the track, so there is no acceleration to produce the centripetal force. So once the object is not in a tangent يعني the circular path, the object can exit the path. أنا كده استخدمت نيوتن second law ونيوتن first law. استخدمت نيوتن second law كده نرجع نشوفه ثاني. إحنا قلنا إنه نيوتن second law هنا in constant mass. طيب Newton's second law says force equals mass into acceleration. طيب my car has mass المرة دي لكن it doesn't have acceleration. Okay, إحنا now we're using the second one. طيب like we're using the actual law which says F equal ma. طيب هنا there is no F أصلا because there's no A, there's no acceleration, it continued in a straight line. Okay, I'm gonna say like the entire thing but without writing المرة دي. طيب I'm gonna say the entire thing. حلو. Wow. Okay. The centripetal force is a force that keeps objects in circular motion. طيب it is a resultant force and it acts perpendicular to the motion of the object. The motion of the object on a circular track can be described as constant speed and constantly changing acceleration. This constantly changing acceleration is due to the change in velocity, which is due to the change in direction. طيب the change in direction or change in velocity produces friction between the car tires and the track. طيب this friction is known as the sideway friction or static friction. المهم for my car or object to exit the track, the object can increase in speed so that there's a resultant force and the centripetal force is insufficient and not enough to keep the object around the track. This achieves Newton's first law. طيب the other way to make my object exit the track is that the object can continue in a straight line so that there's no change in direction, because the change in direction provides the friction between the car's tire and the track. So there's no acceleration to produce the centripetal force. So once the velocity is not in a tangent to the circular path, the object can exit my path. حلو؟ خلصنا. That's it. That's literally it. This is it, you guys. طيب أنا حجيب لكم سؤال لكن actual question وحنحله، ولو سمحتوا يعني مس اسمه بنزل عليه أنا بطلع أسئلة حقت باس بيبر ما تخافي. ده سؤال حصل جا في كويز. طيب وأنا قصته فيه وحافظه من يومه. طيب فأنا حجيبه هنا. أوكي كوبي بيست. كوبي بيست وين السؤال أصلا؟ طلعت هذول. طيب مدري أنا ححل السؤال كامل. طيب في حتة من السؤال it's like it's not part of the thing that we took just now but it's يعني عادي it's fine. طيب this is the last thing I'm going to be doing before I end the video, so don't worry, don't be like يا أخي she's yapping so much, wow, when is she gonna finish? Calm down. خلاص احنا خلصنا. okay حلو. طيب قال لك figure 3.1 shows a model car traveling at constant speed on a flat circular track. طيب هذه عربية لافة واحنا عارفين انه حاصل فيها centripetal force لأنها قاعدة في التراك. طيب قال لك the speed of the car is كده و it travels this much distance. طلع time speed equal distance over time equal distance over speed which equals 3 over 0.3. حلينا الأول خلاص. أنا ما حد أدخل في الكالكوليتر. اوكي. الثاني هو اللي انا حاستخدمه، هو اللي عاجبني، هو اللي انا حاجيبه في السؤال، حاجيبه لكم كسؤال حلو. طيب ما هو الكلام هذا؟ لا. اوكي. واو. ويو. قال لك on figure 3.1 draw and label with the letter F an arrow to show the resultant force acting on the car. طيب في figure 3.1 اللي عندنا ده احنا دايرين نطلع resultant force ال acting on the car. very simple. احنا قلنا انه centripetal force ده هو resultant force صح؟ وده resultant force اللي قاعد هنا. طيب احنا عارف how does the centripetal force act? It acts perpendicular to the motion of the car. فلو انا قلت انه العربية دي ماشية كده، طيب centripetal force حقي حيكون كده. and you have to draw the direction of the arrow by the way. انا رسمت خط بس انت ما عملت direction، انت رسمت له خط. اوكي. so we need to show this. طيب كده احنا حلينا السؤال الاول. الثاني قصدي، شوف الثالث قال شنو. الثالث قال the speed of the car increases. طيب و at point P، البوينت اللي جايبينها في السؤال دي on figure 3.2 the car does not stay on the track. يعني عربية طلعت من التراك صح؟ طيب قال لك suggest in terms of forces acting on the car why the car does not stay on the track. طيب احنا قلنا one of the ways for a car to exit the track is by increasing the speed. why؟ لأنه لما يكون في increase in speed احنا we're making a resultant force. طيب يعني أنا عارفة إنه واحد من الفورسز اللي بستخدمهم there's two forces هنا صح؟ centripetal force والفورس حق الانجن حق الكار الماشية قدام ده. طيب one of these two forces is originally a resultant force صح؟ يعني في واحد من طبيعته أصلا هو resultant force. احنا لما نقول لك في السؤال أنا when I say that we're making a resultant force I don't mean that we're making another centripetal force. I mean that from the centripetal force and the force from the engine I'm making a resultant force. حلو. طيب how the increase in speed طيب means that there's a resultant force. So the أنا حقول له شنو حقول له ال centripetal force أو resultant force لأنه إحنا فوق لما قال لنا أرسم resultant force ترسمها centripetal، فعاد أنا أقول له resultant force. طيب is insufficient. طيب أو not enough at increased speed. طيب يعني لما نعمل increase the speed حيبقى ده insufficient. طيب وأنا بحل لكم ساي من عندي، يعني أنا حليت السؤال وشفت المارك سكيم. طيب قال لك on figure 3.2 draw and label an arrow with the letter S to show the direction of the motion of the car as it leaves the track at point P. احنا قلنا الطريقة الثانية، أو احنا لا احنا قلنا أصلا عشان العربية تطلع من التراك it can continue in a straight line. فأنا هقول له شنو؟ هقول له كده كده زوت. That's it. طيب دقيقة ما احنا ما عملنا له ليبل اس، ما عملنا له ليبل اس اس معلش. قال ليبل اس صح so we can label this as S. That's it. لازم يكون الحاجة direction الشيء اللي حرسمه ده it has to be in a tangent to the centripetal force. طيب it has to be in a tangent. يعني أنا ممكن أنا أرسم له العربية مش continued in a straight line عادي، ممكن straight line يكون لاف كده، ممكن يكون ماشي كده، أهم شيء بس يكون straight line. لا يا حبيبي لازم يكون in a tangent للcentripetal force. التانجنت دي حتكون كيف؟ حتكون قاطعة في السيركل. طيب وحنسميها S. That's it. That is the entire thing.